Can you believe the absolute cheek of it? Here I am working on the RLX 425 and somebody's just come up to me and said, do one. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. To be fair, they weren't being rude to me. They were actually giving me a little piece of advice because the part that I'm machining, I've left a little bit of a burr on one corner. So the Do One is a great little feature on the RLX control that allows you to manually go in and do a taper or a radius to just give you a little bit of finesse on your part. So let's go in and show you how the Do One works. Because the Do One is a function that the RLX has that can be used manually, it can be found within the DRO screen. So by selecting DRO off the Modes menu, we will see that across the bottom of the screen we have the Do One feature located on the menu. Just before we select Do One, one piece of advice that we would give a user is before you go in and start programming your taper or your radius, first of all, nominate an RPM or a surface speed that you would like to do the operation at. So by highlighting the RPM or the surface meters per minute, type in the required value and then press the set key. This means now when you go in and use the hand wheels, this is the RPM that you will be using. When you select the Do One from the menu at the bottom of the screen, there'll be three options that appear, let you manually create tapers, radii or fillets. Tapers are straight lines at an angle. A radius will produce a radius around the outside of a corner, whereas a fillet will be on the internal of a corner. If you intend to use the taper, radius or fillet feature, firstly, move your tool that's got offsets already applied to it to the position that you'd like to start the feature that you want to produce. From the menu, select the taper feature. You will now see in the bottom right-hand corner, it suggests an angle that you would like to produce when you turn the hand wheels. The default is 45 degrees, but this can be changed to any other angle that you require, from 0, which is the center line of the machine down Z, all the way round to 90 degrees and even more if you require. But if we now set 45 degrees by pressing the set key, we can now start the spindle up, and now by turning the handles, either X-axis will give you a fine feed or Z-axis will give you a coarse feed. You can now produce the taper that you require. Having created the taper that you require, it is possible to back cut if you wish. So by turning the hand wheels in reverse, the machine will move in the opposite direction back to where you started, but no further. So if your tailstock was engaged, there's no worries about knocking into the tailstock and removing the support from the part. And so having seen how we can do a taper on the outside of the part, it's also possible to do one if you were leading into a drilled hole or a bore that you've created. Again, we select the taper feature from the Do One menu, but this time when we enter the angle in there, we make it a negative value. So by entering -45, when we use the hand wheels to create the taper, this time the tool or boring bar will feed in towards the center line rather than to an outside diameter. Again, a very quick way to create that internal taper if you require it. So returning back to the Do One menu, we've seen that taper will allow you to produce an external or an internal taper with this function. But maybe you need a radius or a fillet. So to produce the radius or fillet, select that option from the bottom of the screen, and the control will ask you for the size of the radius. Again, you can nominate the size of radius you require, presuming that the tool can do it and has enough edge length on the tool. So for us to produce a 10mm radius, we set that value, it confirms that value with the green box, And as before, we can now start the spindle, and again using the handles, either X or Z, we can now turn and we can produce that 10mm radius under our control with the manual hand wheels. The Do One feature, one of the many great features contained in the ProtoTrack RLX control fitted by XYZ to the whole ProTurn range. It's a standard feature and lets users benefit from the flexibility that this range of machine offers a workshop when you're producing one-off and small batches. If you'd like to know more about how Do One or any of the other features in the RLX works, contact us using the details on the screen to arrange either a desktop demo at your facility or a visit to one of our showrooms located all around the country.